Good evening, everybody. My name is Tyler Davis, and this is my year-long assessment plan in class piano. First, a little bit about myself and who and where I teach. I am the Associate Director of Bands at Hamilton Southeastern High School. This is my first year in this position, and before this, I was Associate Director at Hamilton Southeastern Junior High School. So I am very familiar with the program and community that I am teaching and assessing in. Hamilton Southeastern High School is a 9 through 12 public school in Fishers, Indiana, which is a northeast suburb of Indianapolis, lying just east of Carmel, Indiana. My responsibilities include co-teaching 4 curricular during the day sit-down concert ensembles, a jazz band, marching band, and pep band. However, in addition to teaching all these ensembles, I also have the responsibility of teaching a section of class piano, which will be the focus of this assessment project. Every teacher in the Performing Arts Department of Hamilton Southeastern, whether band, choir, or orchestra, is responsible for teaching a section of class piano. However, when I took this job, I found that despite every teacher having to teach it, there was very little consistency in how it was taught and how it was assessed, which is why I chose this class to be the focus of this project. This class piano class is designed primarily for general population students who are not enrolled in a band, choir, or orchestra. It is primarily designed for those students who have no prior music or piano training. Truthfully, it's designed for students who are looking to fulfill their required fine arts credit. At Hamilton Southeastern, all students are required to gain at least 1 fine arts credit in order to graduate. And in their junior or senior year, many students elect to take this class to fulfill that credit. That's fine. I believe that all students, regardless of whether they play in an ensemble, deserve the beauty and power of music. However, the challenge presents itself into how to make this class a worthwhile experience for those who may not be intrinsically motivated by music in and of itself. And furthermore, how do we assess in this class for those students and still make it a worthwhile experience to instill that love of music to these students? So for a brief overview, the 2 things that I will be implementing primarily in this presentation are more frequent assessment and the construction of a rubric. For more frequent assessment, I'm striving to implement more frequent formative assessment and create and design opportunities for that formative assessment and data taking to present itself. Further, I'm looking to integrate more collaborative opportunities to allow for students to experience peer and self-reflection. This is something that has not existed at all in this class, but I do find very important. As far as constructing a rubric, the rubric that I'll be using was obtained from a fellow teacher. I'm using this rubric because it supports students who have no previous music training, but it still allows for clarity in assessment data. In my assessment techniques, I'll be focusing on ways to revitalize and refresh the formative and summative assessment. In this class, formative assessment takes place frequently as I walk around the classroom during practice. In this piano lab, every student plays on an electronic Yamaha Clavinova with built-in speakers. While headphones are an option, I let students play out into the room utilizing those built-in speakers. I do this primarily so that I can hear the students, so that as I walk around the classroom, I can see and hear what they're doing in real time. This gives me the unique opportunity to offer formative assessment and feedback in real time. As I walk past a student, I can hear something, see something, notice something, and in that moment, offer feedback. I also instruct students to play in small groups, especially as we are learning new material. The class is divided into 4 rows, so I have row 1 play this section, then row 2, then 3, then 4. That allows me to see just 3 or 4 students playing at a time and listen and take formative assessment data points without the noise of a loud piano lab. In summative assessment, I assess every 5 class periods, which translates to roughly every 2 weeks. At Hamilton Southeastern, we run on the block schedule, which means I see students for just under 90 minutes a class period, but I see them every other day. This translates to seeing them over 5 class periods, taking that 2 weeks. For that assessment, students play live for me, the teacher, and are assessed in real time. Seconds after the assessment is complete, their score, feedback, and grade is uploaded to the gradebook. The first assessment practice I'll be focusing on is peer and self-assessment. Dr. Kong and I discussed that self and peer reflection and assessment would be very beneficial in this setting. However, I noticed that because this student is designed for students of all walks of life in the school, and there's a spread of grades from juniors, seniors, to even some sophomores, students are generally unwilling and nervous to collaborate without prompting. Therefore, Dr. Kong and I discussed easing them into this with self-reflection. We're going to do this by students recording themselves playing the required materials and uploading it to Canvas, which is our school online learning platform. They will then use our classroom rubric to reflect and assess themselves, saying what they did well and what they can improve on. It's important that they utilize our class rubric because it will help familiarize them with what I'm looking for as the assessor. Once they get used to offering feedback and utilizing the rubric themselves, we can translate to peer reflection. And the intention is to use this similar to how we use posts in our class here. A student will post a video, and then 2 or 3 of their classmates will offer a peer reflection, offering constructive, helpful, positive feedback. As far as yearly schedule goes, because this is a block schedule school, this class only takes a semester. Therefore, we must think of this less as a yearly schedule and more of a semesterly schedule. The semester is divided into 8 units, each consisting of 2 to 3 music pieces that the students learn and practice, and 3 to 4 supplemental workbook pages, working on things like music theory, literacy, rhythm, note and key identification, and other basic literacy skills. This assessment happens in predictable cycles, the previously mentioned 5 class periods, 2 weeks cycle. On day 1 and day 2, I am primarily lecturing and teaching, instilling, and working through the new knowledge. In this time, I demonstrate a lot for students, we play a lot as a class, and slowly begin rehearsing and integrating the skill into the new songs that are being taught as a part of that unit. On days 3 and 4, students then are told to practice. This class is designed under the assumption that students do not have access to a keyboard or piano at home. So while we may tell our band, choir, and orchestra students to take their horns home and practice, these students do not have that luxury. So it's important that they have class time in order to work on, practice, and perfect their pieces. This is also the ideal time for me to offer feedback and to take formative assessment data points. The 5th day is affectionately testing day, where I walk around the room, the students play their pieces, show me the workbook pages, and I utilize our class rubric to offer them their summative grade, which is then instantly uploaded to the gradebook. In some research, I found some very interesting pieces, such as a video interview with Fotley himself. I, as well as I'm sure many of my classmates, have been a bit confused and perplexed by some of the things Fotley says in the book. Fotley is from the United Kingdom, And he utilizes the English and British education system as the crux of the book. He references things like the national curriculum and other things that we do not have in America, which does sort of skew what he's trying to say for an American audience. By watching through this video interview, it provides context to the proclamations and references that he makes in the book. Further, I found an article discussing secondary music educators' opinions and views on assessment. The research came down to this. Assessment is purely dependent on the value placed on it by the educator. Fautley notes in his book that at the secondary level, many students are assessed on non-music things, such as attitude, attendance, and effort. And while those are undoubtedly important things, those are not what we should be assessing. We should be assessing music. If a teacher does not place value on assessment, then quality assessment will not be happening. However, if a teacher does place value on gathering data in an assessment, it will happen to the benefit of the students. It is simply that black and white, as per this article. It is purely on the teacher. My partner offered me some very useful feedback, and the main thing I took away is to continue to revamp and refine the rubric that I created to use in this class for summative and formative assessment. The rubric I created was fine, but it was incredibly limited and could use a bit of refreshing to allow for more domains of assessment. Therefore, I sought out an existing rubric that was used by a teacher in my building for their class piano class. It fits the bill exactly. It is a lot more descriptive, offers more opportunity feedback, and most of all, is much better at supporting the needs of the students who are taking this class. It offers actionable, useful feedback to a student with no prior music training. In conclusion, I believe all students deserve the beauty and power of music, which is why I'm choosing this class for the assessment project. The whole point of this project is to support and create a worthwhile experience for students whose primary passion is not music. For all students deserve music, whether they play in our bands, our choirs, or orchestras, or our class piano classes. Thank you all for your time.